Hey, I'm Brant, and wanted to apologize to you guys for the lack of like a professional TV studio type thing here, but I more than make up for it with awesome stuff like this. We do breaking animal news on the show. Somebody made this awesome, look at that, breaking animal news desk. It looks backwards, doesn't it? I'm sorry about that, but it's a news desk with animals, different angles. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so there's that. Luke 20. I want to talk about that. Jesus is so amazing here. He leaves people sputtering, and I love that. I love it. Like, there's two stories here. I kind of want to skip to the second one. The first one's like a total mic drop moment where he leaves the Pharisees sputtering. But the second one, think about how genius this is. Like, I think people who tell me that they're not interested in Christianity, I'm always kind of like, have you actually read, the people I know and I'm friends with, I'm like, have you actually read what Jesus said and did? Because I think you would at least find it attractive at some level, like the stuff he says and does. For example, they asked him here in Luke 20 about paying taxes. The subtlety, and it's such a condensed story too, but he says, well, give to Caesar. He says whose image is on the coin that they're holding up, and he looks at it, and it's Caesar's, and so he says, well, give to Caesar what's Caesar's image, and to God what's God's. And think about that, because they were religious experts, and they know what he's talking about. He's saying, if something has Caesar's image on it, give it to him. But if something has God's image on it, that's his. And they all know what has God's image on it. They do. So in just a couple sentences, Jesus leaves these proud people who are trying to trap him absolutely sputtering. They don't know what to say. It's a total mic drop moment again. And I find that really appealing. And one reason, and I've used this story when I try to explain to people what I find so appealing about Jesus, but one reason that's a big deal to me is I'll have some people, they'll read my past story or things I've gone through in my family, and they might wonder, well, how are you still a Christian? I've had people ask me that, given what you've been through with church and stuff. And it's a fair question, but I always tell them there's really two reasons. One is I am very attracted to this Jesus. Like Jesus himself, if that's God, and he said he's God, but if that's God, and we can see God in the form of a man, and he acts like that, and he does those things, and he says things like that, that's incredibly attractive to me. The other reason is I don't find the alternatives especially appealing, just intellectually. This Jesus acknowledges sin, and he does something about it. But the way he leaves the big shots sputtering and packs so much into a couple sentences is mind-blowing to me. And the idea that these guys who wrote these books, decades later, that they were just such literary geniuses that they came up with that themselves, I don't think so. I mean, we're still debating that stuff, and we're still marveling at the things Jesus said. He left him sputtering. These are like the smartest people in the culture, and they had nothing to say. And I really love that about Jesus. That's Luke chapter 20. Yeah, give to Caesar what's Caesar's image, and then give to God what has God's image on it, knowing full well that's every human.